All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We may have some more people popping on as we go through, but thank you all so much for joining us. This is our, and just admit this other person, this is our roundup for programs and special events from the summer, plus also looking towards fall. So I know a lot of questions I've had that I hope that we can get some answers to, or some great creative ideas. Our programming for the holidays, whether it be the December holidays or Halloween and stuff like that. So first off, since this is a wrap up of how everything has been since, I'm going to say March, does anyone have any updates with how some of their programs went, what adaptations you had to make them successful, and maybe what didn't work that you would change in the future? And please feel free to unmute yourself if you're having problems. You can also add it in the chat box. We will monitor that as well.
Well, I'll just say that we weren't able to have our day camp, but we had smaller camps this summer, and we were able to have our music in the park. Just had signs up around the park telling people to social distance and to wear a mask if they were going to get within 6 feet of somebody outside their household. And musicians all came. The sponsors were supportive for each week, and overall it went pretty well. So
that's fantastic. Did you have specific areas marked out for families, like the circles or squares that are just painted on the grass, or was it just wherever, just be mindful of others?
Yeah, we just had a bunch of signs periodically through the area where the musician was going to be and the park area, and just asked everyone to please social distance, and everybody did. So it was good.
That's fantastic. I hope that's what we hear from everyone, but I'm wondering if anyone had kind of the opposite of that. People not social distancing or causing any kind of issues during events like that.
We had somewhat of that, but it was on a much smaller scale. We did a small, called it Wednesday Unwind at the trailhead at the DNL, and we'd had some local wineries came, and acoustic artists would play at the trailhead, and we did not mark the area. It's a small area. It's a trailhead. It's a new program. We really didn't know how many people we were going to get. It's a small municipality, but some of the folks just really were a little more political, and they just did not want to wear masks. So, we got through it, and overall, it turned out to be I believe, a good program. So.
That's fantastic. How did you manage those who were, I guess the term is anti-mask, or who didn't want to wear them? Was there a conversation, or was it? There was a conversation, but I will be honest with you, I did not make it adversarial. I didn't call the police. I didn't want to embarrass people or cause a problem. In most cases, they put their mask on. And it was okay. In a couple cases, a couple people left, but we managed to keep it from getting, as it has been in some instances, nasty when it becomes a political issue. Yeah, that's great that you were able to handle it and still have a smooth running program. Anyone else feedback from programs or events they did this summer? And how did you manage it as far as social distancing? Was there signage? Did you create the specific spaces for families, or did you have issues? And please feel free to, oh, go ahead, Karen.
We in Muhlenberg also had our concert series, and actually we extended it longer than normal. Our first concert was the first day that Berks County went green, so we were going to have that concert no matter what. We did very limitedly advertised that we were having concerts. It was got to be the spread, word of mouth kind of thing. As the summer went on, made announcements for social distancing, wearing masks when you're up and about. I tried to lead by example, and most people, if they felt uncomfortable, were wearing a mask the whole time, definitely when they got up to walk around. But as the summer has gotten extended here with their concert series, less and less masks are being worn. So, I was not confrontational. I would make the announcement twice and just leave it at that.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think the music events have been popular across the state, so that's wonderful to hear. Has anyone provided PPE at their events? If people come and they don't have their own mask, or are you providing hand sanitizer? Has anyone done that to kind of add that extra level of security?
Yes, I did. This is Jade from East Hanover Township, Dauphin County. I had it where I had a drive-through peach event so people could still get their annual peach goodies that they look forward to. And we had them drive through the fire station to pick them up and hand them into vehicles. And for the volunteers, I had masks, gloves, and hand sanitizer. But people coming in, because we made it a requirement and it was very clearly marked that you needed a mask once you rolled down your window to receive the goodies, just in case it was an issue where people didn't bring them. I actually had somebody standing before the building entrance for them to drive through with a box of masks.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. How about anybody else? What went well? What didn't? What did you want to try but you were worried to try? All right, if anyone thinks of anything, just let us know. A lot of people probably have already planned a lot of their fall and winter programs. But I know some people are still in that process. So are there any creative Halloween or holiday ideas that people are coming up with? I know that I've seen online, I'm on a lot of Facebook groups for Park and Rec professionals, and there's a lot of drive-through Santas. There's drive-through pancake breakfast, which I thought that's interesting. I can just imagine syrup all over my car. But creative idea, right? It'd be a mess. Any creative ideas? Let's start with Halloween. Has anyone come up with anything that's different, or how have you adjusted for the new COVID issue? And again, if you cannot speak, you can feel free to add it to the chat box, and we can read it to the whole group.
Nikki, it's Tammy from Upper Dublin. We're going to be doing a drive-through event for Halloween. We're doing In Search of the Great Pumpkin, and we're incorporating our police department, our fire department, our library, the ambulance garage, and 3 other of our parks. So they're going to start at the Township building and get some sort of passport or a map, and then they're going to go on an adventure, and then they're going to end up at one of our parks where they'll get a pumpkin, and they'll stop at 8 other locations where they'll get some sort of trinket or giveaway or something that all of the other agencies are actually providing. We are going to limit it, and we have it actually on Halloween from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, and everybody has to sign up for different time slots.
Fantastic. I think that sounds excellent. Anyone else?
For Halloween, we're not having our parade, obviously, for reasons everybody knows, but we are having we're calling it the Halloween costume event. So we have 8 different categories, and parents can bring their children to a category that they want their child to be, they register for. We're going to have one held at the Borough building and one held at the fire station, which are right across the street from each other. And we're going to block off the whole street so people can come within that 45-minute period dressed up. With their children can come dressed up, and they get judged. They get a goodie bag, and then we give out the awards for that particular category within that 45-minute period, and then that they can go home. So we did it all local, right near each other, in case a parent has 2 children in both categories at the same time. So we usually have between 250, 300 kids register for all of the categories. So we're hoping that having 2 at a time, there won't be as big a crowd, obviously. And so far the businesses are donating towards the prizes. One of the categories we're having this year is a COVID mask category. So anybody can register. They don't have to be dressed up. They can just decorate a COVID mask. So we'll see.
That's awesome. These are great ideas. Anyone else? I see BK shared a document in the chat box, which we'll also send out with the follow-up email. One of the things I thought that you could do to get your staff involved is you could do almost like a meme costume contest. So just have a photo of your staff person standing there and do, whether it's clip art or little images where they could decorate the staff with whatever costume that they thought would be best. And it can be something done on social media. You can have them submit it to an email, and then you could share the winner on social media or have people vote on social media. Some other great ideas I saw, and these are not necessarily Halloween related, but there was one called Vacation in a Box. So we all know people have done the Camp in a Bag, Program in a Bag, but essentially setting people up with what they could do for a mini fall vacation. I don't know if many schools are doing any kind of fall break. We know there will be winter breaks. We don't know what they'll look like. So those Vacation in the Box, Program in a Box, I think are really helpful. The one I saw that I thought was neat, and this is more of a drive-through Santa, but I think it could be adjusted, is that there'll be booths, right? But they would have prepackaged gifts. They could have treats, kind of what Audrey was mentioning with costumes, but it's people going through and experiencing maybe different holidays or different traditions and stuff like that. So those are some of the ones I saw on social media. One note, and I can't remember who sent us this email, was about hay rides. And hay rides apparently, and I've never known this, so if anyone can speak up to this, and I will try to pull that email up, is that hay rides actually have to be certified through, I want to tell you the right thing before I mentioned it.
The Department of Agriculture.
Yes, yeah, and it might have been in the scoop this week. I'm not gonna lie, I did not read the scoop yet. But we did get an email about that, and I don't know if many people knew about that. I did not. In all the time I grew up in a rural area with hay rides everywhere. So if that was not in the scoop, I will make sure this group gets that information that hay rides are supposed to be certified. I had no idea.
Actually, the email I sent was that we have a haunted barn every year, and it needs to be certified because it's quote unquote a amusement ride. Okay, so that inspector that we have said there is talk of maybe having hay rides also be a certifiable activity. So that concerns me, just not for me. I'm already having the guy come for the barn, but you know, the other municipalities that have these community hay rides might need to be certified now.
Sharon, thank you for sharing that. I knew there was something in there and I was looking for the email, and I apologize, I didn't know it was from you. Tim forwarded it to us. But I think that's great information to know. I had no idea. I didn't know that your barn would have been considered a ride in any way, so I find that really interesting.
Neither did we until we got a call saying it needed to be certified.
Yeah.
So the things you learn as you progress on your program.
Yeah, so it's something, if anyone does anything like that, it might be beneficial to look into that ahead of time. I was surprised, and boy, you really do learn something new every day. So thank you. What other events? I mean, we don't have to stick with Halloween. We can look at the other holidays in December. Any creative ideas coming up, or how have you canceled anything? Obviously, large.
I'm stuck doing things outside for the rest of the year. So I was actually trying to find maybe somebody here actually has a good contact for it within the state for carriage rides.
Oh.
For horse carriage rides.
Allentown or Bethlehem do those, and they have used a firm. I just can't think of the name of them, but you might contact Allentown Parks and Recreation.
Okay.
I'm not sure where you're located, so I don't know if that's close for you or not.
Near Hershey.
Oh, well, that's a bit of a way.
Yeah. But I thought at least that would be a good, like, you schedule them for a set time to come. You know, you're not outside too long, but you still get to do something special for the holiday. And then we'd have a gazebo set up for like them to take pictures at.
Oh, very nice.
You might want to try looking into some, like a horse farm. Gosh, I forget how many years ago, we had a carriage ride at our Memorial Day event, and it was a guy who owned a horse farm in Lewisberry area, which isn't far from Hershey, I don't think. So that's just an idea.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, Media Bureau in Delaware County has done them. I'm not from there, but I'm also in Delaware County, and I can't imagine that they use someone local just because there's not really any farm in Delaware County. So I would assume that if anything, it might have come out from near you.
I know. I'm actually super rural. We are all farmers pretty much in the township that I serve. So, and I have 2 farmers on my board, and they couldn't even come up with somebody for me. So I'm going to have to look around. But that was an idea that I had.
I think it's great, especially if you're being forced to be outside. I know that's always a difficult thing. You know, and I think that's a creative way of still making sure you're connecting with your community. So absolutely. Anything else?
We will be having a, this is Lindsay from Northern Lehigh. We'll be having a candy cane hunt. It's kind of like an Easter egg hunt, but it's candy canes, wrapped canes, and it will be simplified. It needs to be outdoors, but we can't have concessions. We can't have all of the stuff that we normally have, visits with Santa. But we're still going forward with the hunt itself.
Fantastic. What about, go ahead.
We normally have a Toys for Tots parade the first weekend in December, obviously to gather toys for Central Pennsylvania kids. So council I just let them know this week, we're not going to have our parade, but we are going to have something called, and I'm still in the brainstorming stage of it, we're having something that we're going to call Parade of Lights for Toys for Tots. And one of our parks is pretty big, so we're going to actually have a light display throughout the park, or most of the park. I've already reached out to our main sponsor, who sponsored the Mummers Band that we got from Philly, and they told me that I could use their donation towards lights for the park, which is great. And then there's a lot of community members that I've reached out to who I've gotten to know over the years, and the school district, they're going to talk to their clubs and sports teams. Like they'll all take a tree in the park and decorate a tree, or do a float, and we're going to do it for 3 nights. And the admission to the event is a toy for Toys for Tots. So the Marines, I emailed them. They've always been part of our parade, so I'm hoping that they'll be part of this. And then we'll collect toys as people enter the park. And then they'll take their ride through the park. Everybody will be in their car, so that's social distancing. And then they'll loop around back out.
That's excellent. I love it. How about photos with Santa? I know some people do it, some people don't. But has anyone addressed how you're going to do photos with Santa if you're going to do it? I read one online is, you know, people do pets with Santa, like animal photos with Santa, and partnering with animal shelters. But how are you handling it with kids? Is anyone still doing it?
Karen from Muhlenberg here. We were thinking, and I read somewhere, I think on NRPA, something I read through there, we normally have Santa inside one of our playground buildings, but this year I think we're going to have him at a window that will open up, and we'll make it look like he's coming out of the chimney, and then kids can stand next to him outside the building and take photos.
That's really,
and then he can hand the present to him through the window. So at least, you know, it's not on the lap, and there's somewhat social distancing, but It's our attempt to still have a program.
I like the having him come out of a chimney. I think that's really cute. Anyone else, Santa?
Hi, everybody. It's
go ahead.
it's Megan and Percy. We cannot find a Santa that wants to do it. So our normal Santa has an underlying condition, and I emailed a few professional folks, but they want like $200 an hour, and it was a little ridiculous. So I just have not been able to find a volunteer. I know in a neighboring community, they were advertising that, Santa's getting tested before he comes and sits with you. But that, do you get every child tested before they come? It just got a little complicated. So what we're trying to do is purchase a statue Santa and hopefully have some sponsorships for that, and basically leave him on a bench, in a secured area so people can come get pictures. Something, obviously not a real Santa, but something that, could resemble Christmas. So we just haven't been able to find a volunteer that wants to do it. And now we're looking at trying to find a statue and then get some sponsors for that, because I know they can be like $1,000 to $2,000. So that's pretty much what we're doing this season.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
We normally have Santa ride in for a Christmas tree lighting on a fire truck. So we thought about keeping him in the fire truck with the window down, like arms out, and have the families underneath the door taking photos.
Fantastic. What about green screens? Has anyone thought about green screen and Santa in? Just asking.
That's a good idea.
I mean, if you have a green screen and you could kind of superimpose Santa in there, or add Krampus or whatever holiday symbol you want to put in, that might be an idea too. I know people have used just green like backdrops if you don't have a green screen itself. So I don't know. I think Santa could be a
Some of the things I've been seeing is kind of a reverse Santa letter. So since all the kids are using Zoom for school, having Santa Zoom the children.
That's a good idea. And I also saw where one agency is doing Santa signups. So parents and kids can write a letter to the department, and then they will set up a time for the kids to connect with Santa via his elves. So whether it's via Zoom, as BK mentioned, or on the phone, basically they get put through and they might talk to the elf, and the elf will be like, hold on, let me get Santa on the line. And then they have a chance to talk to Santa. The nice thing about the letter ahead of time is it might say what the kid wants for the holiday, if that's what, your tradition is or whatnot. So I thought that was neat too. And yeah, Zoom will definitely be a benefit.
Upper Dublin again. Our fire company has like 7 or 8 trucks and 7 or 8 Santas that they put out on the trucks, and they drive them around to the entire township on the Sunday before Christmas. They typically have like a couple different stops throughout where Santa gets down and hands out candy canes. I don't believe they're going to do that this year, but they are still planning on moving forward with the Santa on the fire truck and just driving him all over the township. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say they I don't know if they ever get down from their trucks, but Santa drives through our neighborhoods here in State College, and I always think it's cute because you see kids running to the window and they get all excited, and it's a neat tradition. I think that's awesome.
And our department, we actually do an elf in the park. So we have Parker that we put out in the month of December, and we hide him in the park, and we put clues out. And people go out and find him, and he moves around mysteriously and goes to different locations. And we are planning on doing that again this year. We've been very successful with some of our other special events that we've been putting kids or families actually, into the parks. We've been doing the game of Clue. We also did a park poker challenge, and those have all been going very, very well. People are social distancing, they're respecting, and we're giving long time periods for them to do it. So not everybody's going to the same location at the same time.
Those all sound great. I love the elf. I think that's fun. And that he moves around. So how often does he move that you have to update the clues, or
Yeah, it depends on how quickly he is found.
Okay.
We take him into parks that people might not normally go to. So we try to make it a little bit more difficult for people to find him. But once we get several families that have found him and start posting on social media that they have found him, then we do move him along. He probably goes to 4 or 5 different areas. And again, it depends on how quickly he is found. Last year, we actually partnered with the Wissahickon Valley Watershed and Temple Ambler. They wanted to participate as well. So we actually used their sites. I don't know that we'll be able to do that this year. We may just stay within our park system.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing those. What else? I know we have a couple other people on the line. Again, feel free to unmute yourselves, or you can put it in the chat box. You know, we talked about music in the park. Have people been doing movies in the park or biking movies? Have they been successful? Have they run kind of like your music programs? Or have people done anything with food trucks again, now that things are, I don't know what they are. They're not normal, but in some areas they're getting a little better.
We switched our normal movies in the park to drive-ins and didn't broadcast the sound out loud for people, so they had to tune into their radio stations in their car to actually stay and listen.
Great. Did you partner with a local radio station to get that channel?
No, I actually got a company that does dairy townships, Hershey's, to come and do ours.
Oh, okay. That's fun.
We didn't sell anything snack-wise. We told people to bring their own snacks. And we had it very clearly marked that when they're stepping away from their vehicles to wear masks, and people listened very well because they didn't really have a lot of reason to leave their vehicle.
Right.
I did have a sponsor come and hand out free popcorn that they put in carts and took it car to car, offering it to them wearing their masks and gloves.
That's great. We've heard a lot of positive talk about sponsors. Have the majority of you been able to keep your sponsors for events and programs? Have you lost any? Have any of your regular sponsors been, you know, closed or really struggling like a lot of other places?
I just sent out my letters about the Halloween event, so I've heard from a couple that they will support still. So we'll see. It's kind of early yet.
That's fantastic. If anyone has feedback that they get even after the roundtables, just to let us know, you know, if there's a way that PRPS can help advocate for the importance of all the things that you do, you know, we try, and but we also know businesses are struggling too. So it's a hard time for everyone. All right. So I wanted to talk about esports, and this is a little bit selfish of me, but is anyone doing esports right now? All right. That's all right. It's I'm hoping to offer it during our fall membership meeting mini conference because I keep hearing some talk about it. I know some agencies that may not be on the call have kind of dipped their toe in it, so hopefully we can have some more information there. What else are we not addressing? What questions do you have for other people?
Nikki, I'm sorry, I missed that. I missed what you said. What? I missed part of it got cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hope that didn't happen for everyone. Esports. Are you doing esports?
I'm not familiar with that. What?
It's gaming essentially. BK, did you want to mention something? I saw your.
No, it's just esports were getting very big in the higher education realm. I mean, they were even making sponsored teams. It's becoming a more inclusive way of looking at sport in a sense. It's not necessarily having to get out and run around with a ball. It's just using that concept of a tournament as well as competitive aspects, and it was getting all sorts of different populations in it. So it was growing hugely in higher education.
That's interesting. Again, I am working with a company. They are a Pennsylvania-based esports coalition. So I'm working on them to set up a thing at our fall mini conference. And so if you can be on that, great. And if not, we will have it available after the fact. So that was just one of those things that I was hoping to learn more about myself. But what questions? Oh, go ahead, Sherry.
I know my daughter's soccer organization sent something out about an esports thing that they're doing through, I forget, Eastern. I'll have to look it up, but I'll send you the link once I find the email. But I thought that I saw that come through and I was like, oh, well, we're having our soccer season, but they were still promoting like an esport soccer thing. So
awesome. Yeah, I was just curious. I know my nephews are still doing in-person soccer, but my brother and I had talked about esports a little bit. So I was hoping to, get some more information. Is there anything that you want to address with the group that we haven't, any questions you have?
I have a question. It's Sarah Priebus from Upper Gwynedd. We just did a big event on Saturday. It was a car show followed by a concert followed by fireworks. And I had people counting people to make sure we stayed under the 250 maximum thing. And we did very well with everything. Now, here's my question is I've been getting people saying I didn't know about it because I'm kind of not really advertising. This is the first time in my 20 years that I do events and not really advertise. Does anyone have any suggestions for this of only hitting residents? And I don't know, where to go with this.
That's a great question. It brings up a great point. I'm just going to mention something that happened in the State College area this past weekend, I think it was. It's called C3 Sports, and it's a large recreation facility. It's run by a church. And they had a wrestling tournament that was supposed to bring in like 1,000 people. And I actually got forwarded an email from the township manager saying, we didn't know about this super spreader event. So to Sarah's point, you do have to be careful because when you start getting above that number, how do you control it? And how do you, make sure that it doesn't become a super spreader event? Because you want people there, but you have to kind of balance that out. They did not shut this event down in this area. They ran it. They had like $10,000 worth of fines back to the township, which I thought was really interesting. So because the local townships up here have fines for, I don't know, not wearing your mask and stuff like that. So Sarah, I think it's great that you were able to run a successful event that still maintains, that threshold that it's set by the state. But any feedback on that? How are you advertising? Are people doing your print publications? Are you, social media? What's the best way you've found?
We're not advertising. That's what I struggle with. People are saying, we didn't know about the fireworks. Well, I know you didn't because it's just in our newsletter and we did one blurb on Facebook and that's all we did. So, it's kind of like, I apologize, but I kind of can't advertise for it. But we have been able to maintain the 250 people and we do turn people away. We do say, sorry, the concert area is full. You're welcome to stay at the park because I can't kick them out of the park, but you have to sit elsewhere. And that's been working so far.
Does your newsletter just go to residents?
It does. Yeah, it does. But I feel bad for not letting all the residents know and not posting it everywhere. And that's what I'm struggling with. And just wanted some suggestions if anyone knows any.
Hey, Sarah, it's Megan again. Do you guys have your concert area fenced in?
We don't, Megan, but we have this trail that goes right in front of it. So we kind of just station people on the trail. And when that area is full, no one else can get in.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Karen from Muhlenberg again. We had our concerts and it's not fenced in. We didn't have somebody counting the number. I know that we went over 250 probably 4 different times. But as Sarah said, I'm having a problem with not advertising to our fullest capacity that we've always done. So it has pretty much been a Facebook post like the week of. But, word of mouth is getting out. The bands are advertising on their own Facebook page. There's a guy with the local newspaper that within his Facebook page, he posts live music all the time. I contacted him on the first concert of that because I always did that. just to get the word out. And then I stopped doing it. So now he's been finding it on his own because he actually is a resident of Muhlenberg Township. So I think he's in touch with our Facebook page. So when he sees it on our Facebook page, but some of these other things that we're having a little trunk or treat kind of thing where the trunks are decorated, cars are coming through slowly and getting past the bag of goodies through their window. I'm worried about having a huge capacity of people just in cars, and I don't know how to advertise it because I don't want a huge backup in the park of cars. How do I advertise it properly? There's hardly anything out there for kids to do trick-or-treating. Would you take your own kids trick-or-treating? Does your township approve trick-or-treating? How can they stop trick-or-treating? I mean, there's so many questions when it comes to this holiday. And I think a lot of people feel that kids have to have candy. I don't have children of my own, and I don't believe in kids having to have candy. But we're just trying to keep some semblance of normalcy in the world. So yeah, I'm at a loss as to how I should advertise, how much should I advertise, to make these events successful. But then I also have higher ups in the municipality that feel just offering something to the public is better than offering nothing. So if we have a program that has, 12 participants, they're happy that at least we offered something and somebody came.
Yeah.
My level of success is different.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just getting anyone at this point, I feel, is a bonus. Have you considered scheduling times for the people to come through the trunk or treat? So the first 20, I'm just throwing a number out there, 20 cars from 4 to 5, 20 cars, or is that just too much of another level of annoyance that you don't want to deal with?
That's funny, a level of annoyance.
Well,
I understand, but yes, that's sort of how I'm thinking of it. It's another level. I've never done a trunk or treat before. My goal of cars to have their decorated is 12. That is so low, it's just so against what I've always been, ingrained to do in park and recreation. But yeah, I guess we'll have to think of that, how to do that. I think we could do that within our registration system here at the township. So
yeah, people could pick their time slot. I don't know. And I know how Halloween gets. I mean, I don't have kids either, but I would love the candy if I had a kid who went trick-or-treating. It would all go to my cupboard. But I understand it's a tricky time. But I think you guys have great ideas for reaching out and being essential with your communities. And Sarah,
one idea could be, if you kind of think the way like they run Music Fest, in a sense, is there's venues all over the municipality, and so that way, even if you are hitting your critical numbers in one area, you can always send them to another area not too far away, and so that way you could have multiple kinds of programming going on to fulfill different interests as well. I've been seeing a lot of the things for trick or treat, for fences, just hanging candy already prepared on fences, and so people come by and pick things up. And they even had an idea in that document I had there, little tombstones, and so that way people come and pick up a tombstone and take all the little goodie bags pre-made, and it's just pick it and go. And you could put those anywhere, like an Easter egg hunt around an entire park. It doesn't have to be at your park, it could be at any of the municipal partners in town.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Sarah, I just want to apologize. I don't know if we found an answer to your question, but it's something we could pose on the Scoop. We can pose that kind of question. If you're interested, just shoot me an email and we can make sure that gets in there to see if we can find any suggestions.
I will. I guess I really wasn't looking for an answer other than how do I just get to my residents and not everybody else around? Because it seems like 50% are residents, 50% are non-residents that are showing up.
Yeah.
But it's just not nice to know, but I guess we're all in the same boat with this. That's all.
And sorry, Tammy, I saw your thing light up. I didn't mean to.
I just have a question. I know that we had a resident that reached out to us that asked about the Teal project. Has anybody heard about the Teal project? It's supposed to be something where you register and I guess people can log in there and it gives information on like safe places for kids to trick or treat is kind of what I'm getting. I really haven't had enough time to look into it. But apparently there is some sort of program out there to register so that kids can, parents can feel safe going to different either businesses or residences to trick or treat with their children. But it's called the Teal Project.
TEAL.
Yeah, like the color. And I actually just Googled it to make sure I had it correct. And there is, it says for, I guess initially it must have been for like food and allergies and stuff like that. But I guess now they're expanding it for a safer, happier Halloween for all kids. It's a worldwide movement to create a safer, happier Halloween for all kids.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying to pull up. I found a Facebook page for them.
It says,
is it the Teal Pumpkin Project?
yes.
Is it? Yeah, it's showing here. It's basically offering alternative trick-or-treat options instead of doing foods, because yeah, like you said, it is a food allergy awareness.
Right. But we had a resident who reached out to us to ask us if we would participate and help them get the word out about this. And we just haven't had enough time to look into it, but I was wondering if anybody else had heard anything about it.
I have not, but thank you for bringing it up. I think that's great for people to do. And maybe it's something it could be a spin with your municipality or your department where don't use teal, obviously, because they already have it, but you could do some kind of other thing, whether it's a tombstone, a skeleton, or something, and that could be how you let your community know it's safe for whatever activity you're doing. I don't know if many places are doing trick-or-treating this year. Again, not having kids, it's not something I pay attention to, except for I turn my light off. But are your municipal... Sorry, Kim's laughing at me. If I have candy in my house, I will eat the whole bag. So
we are trick-or-treating.
You are, okay.
Yes, October 28th. It's usually the last Wednesday of the month. So yes, we are. It's the borough is.
Anyone else?
Yeah, we are as of right now, but ours is the last Thursday, the 29th right now.
Okay. And do you think they're going to keep that? You don't think they'll cancel?
I haven't been told that they've changed it, so.
Interesting. I think it's, I guess I need to look into it for my community because I don't know.
It might be a great opportunity to elicit your businesses in your municipalities as well. What they used to do out when I lived in Washington was they had the entire downtown was active in the Halloween prospect. And so that way people got into the shops and got down onto Main Street as opposed to staying in the neighborhoods. And so that way you might be able to, use some of their protocols and the things that they already have going on because they have the plexiglasses and they have the safety measures already put into place. And so maybe you can do a private partnership kind of deal.
Yeah. Also with businesses, we've done, not here PRPS, but in my other life, we've done Scarecrow Contests where businesses can, create their own kind of scarecrow and they're judged. But also, I don't know if your communities did this, like businesses with large windows. They would have where they paint their windows with a specific, so I always thought that was fun. I'm not really sure why people stopped doing it, probably because they got vandalized, but that's a cute idea that even your residents could do. If you could recommend to them what kind of paint to use and, the kids could decorate it and it could be just, a tour of said neighborhood because the families chose to decorate their windows. Again, you can use that for businesses, but that might be another way to engage them that even if you put together decorator kits where they could pick it up, whether it's for scarecrows or for windows, that's always fun too. So what other questions or comments do we have or things that we want to address and we haven't yet?
Hi again, it's Megan. I just wanted to know if anybody had some really cool ideas. Like obviously our Fall Fest is canceled and we're doing the Scarecrow decorating contest, but just wanted to see if anybody else had some other ideas, not Halloween related, but definitely Fall Fest with like pumpkins and stuff like that, what other folks were doing.
Can you do a pumpkin where people kind of build their own and maybe do it with the mini pumpkins, and people could build little contraptions to shoot it or slingshot a pumpkin and they could still socially distance.
That sounds fun.
Anyone else? What ideas for fall?
Well, here's an idea that we're doing here in Muhlenberg. I'm not sure if it's really fall related, and it probably, you know, West Reading actually did it here in Berks County, so I stole the idea. It's a scavenger hunt around Muhlenberg Township. So it's taking them into their parks. You know, they have to, like, one of my questions is how many picnic tables are under the pavilion at Temple Playground? So they have to go into the park and they have to count those numbers. Another one is how many benches are there at Jim Dietrich Park? So now they got to go into Jim Dietrich Park. They got to walk around. I was astonished yesterday when I actually did that and found that there were 25 benches in that park. You know, but then some local history too. You know, there's 2 train stations in Muhlenberg Township. What are they named? You know, so they have to dig into a little history. Some of the answers can be found by Googling, but some are not. They would have to actually go out and walk the parks to find the answers. So it's just getting them, you know, in and around our township. I'm not sure how many people will actually do this, but once again, we're offering something.
Yep, I think it's a great idea.
As a bit of advice, I used to do a lot of Amazing Race kind of formats in previous life when I was doing corporate things. And anytime you're doing your scavenger hunts, make sure you have pictures of the actual answer. I tried to stay away from counting things and tried to stay away from, because if you miscounted and everybody's getting a different number than you, you're going to have a fight on your hands, especially if there's prizes involved at the end. So that's just one of my recommendations, is have something, whether it be a plaque or something where you can take a photo of the answer, and then that way you have an answer key at the end that you can share with everyone so they don't argue with you.
That is a good point, Brian.
And I'm just going to read a couple things from the chat box. Lauren from, I always stutter when I say this, Conshohocken Borough said they're doing pumpkin painting to go, so they'll provide the pumpkin, all paint supplies, craft, and candy. So that's a lot of fun. I love painting pumpkins, so that's always neat. And oh, Sarah just mentioned to Megan that the fire company is having pumpkin decorating. They're going to supply 1 large pumpkin per family, and the supplies, they can sign up each half hour. So pumpkin painting is fantastic. Oh, and Lauren also followed up with, and encouraging them to send pictures of their pumpkin to be posted on social media. I think that's great. I think sharing on social media is really fun. So we're talking about pumpkins too. I know a lot of people do gingerbread houses. Has that changed, or any of those other activities? Are you doing to go similar to pumpkins, or are you just not doing it because it's you know, people touching stuff and being close, and so, you know, how about that, or what other questions or comments do we still need to touch upon? All right, well, you know, just because we left an hour for this, we don't have to fill it. We have about 10 minutes left. If anyone does think of any questions, you can shout them out, put them in the chat box real quick. As always, we did record this. We will follow it up with the recording, and we will send some notes from both the chat box and some other resources that we have found that we can send out. If you ever have questions that we can ask of fellow members in the scoop, or if we, you know, want to do another one of these roundtables, let me know. We did take a break near the end of summer because 1, people were zoomed out, and 2, we knew summer was finally starting to get a little normal. But we can do this again in another couple weeks to just check in, see what other amazing ideas people have, or any questions. So you can let us know. Again, thank you so much for being part of this. If you want to leave your email address in the chat box, that'd be great. But we do have it because you signed up through Zoom. So either way, and if there's no last minute questions, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do for your communities and Parks and Recreation in general. And we look forward to, I guess, seeing you virtually in some of our future roundtables and our fall membership meetings. So thanks so much.